What's going on? It's Justeeni here. We all know that Waterworld games can be pretty weird because there's just not a lot of villages on the map. And that can be pretty fun or pretty unfun at times. Sometimes it's pretty fun. But what if you could get villages on Waterworld, actually have cities to work with and be able to like play the game and stuff? Well, we're doing some normal Waterworld, and it turns out if you play Aquarion, you actually do get villages. Now, Aquarion's the only tribe that gets extra villages, which is an extremely unfair advantage, and that makes Aquarion one of the somewhat disputed best tribes on Waterworld. Really, only Kiku and Polaris can compete. But yeah, I've got some Waterworld slop today, where I'm showing what happens when you get villages, and we're gonna talk about the state of Waterworld. So I'm able to find my suburbs in quotation marks. I have to get marine life for them, but you know, I am able to eventually get some villages. Get nav pre-second city, which is not something you see on other maps, you know, getting your tier 3 techs before you capture cities. But that's just how Waterworld is. Now I meet the opponent, also Aquarion, of course. And I decide to get some vision. Now, one thing with Waterworld is you have to be very intentional with when you pick Workshop and Explorer, really more so than any other map because of the low city count. You're unlikely to get Eye of God. There's just not enough cities to feasibly get Explorers for that. So every Explorer that you are getting needs to be done with the intention of getting vision, and that vision needs to outweigh the 1-star per turn. You might think, oh, 1-star per turn, not very much, but when you have really low economies, rarely exceeding 20-star per turn, 1-star per turn is a pretty big deal. But this Explorer is going to be useful, getting some information. Hopefully I can win this Starfish. That would be very nice there. And I go for a Shark to maybe play a bit aggressively towards the city, if they give me the chance. And I also go Riding, ready to spam some Amphibians. Now they make a Jelly, and I can kill their Warrior. Yada yada, and then I decide to do this, which is a really stupid idea. Don't do this. Don't run Sharks into Jellies. Jellies counter Sharks really well, as you can see. But I can get Aquaculture. I still got a nice position. I'm actually getting villages. My first like actual village was all the way over here though. And you know, it feels like I'm playing with a lot more though, so I get to actually do things, as they say. But yeah, using lots of Starfish here, getting a ton of stars to work with. And I can get my first crab going. I was thinking about border growth for it, but I decided against it in the end. I go for border growth here instead, because this does get me a crab on this city. And now, with 2 crabs here, 4 cities, I'm in a very beautiful position. I can walk forward with my crabs. And yeah, they just kind of resign here. Not the most exciting game, so why am I showing these sorts of games? I mean, I can show the opponent's point of view as well. But I feel like this is one of the things with Waterworld, is you just don't get a lot of city access, even with Aquarion in this case. I happen to get runes for my city access, but if we actually look at the map, this is probably why people don't like Waterworld very much, is there's not very many cities. Not only that, but if the cities are uneven in any way, in this case, if we were playing without Aquarion, then this would be like a crazy spawn win for the opponent, because I'm getting 1 city, they're getting 3, so they have to double my city count. And I think a lot of the issue with Waterworld is you just don't get suburbs. Like, you don't get actual suburbs. I got ruined suburbs here, and even then it was still a little bit slow with expansion, and the opponent just gets nothing. And I don't know, something, maybe Waterworld should have suburbs. I don't know why certain maps don't have suburbs at all. It's literally just like Synarchy. But I think Waterworld should have suburbs. Anyway though, I'll go ahead and cut to another game. Alright, cut into another game, and why am I showing another game? Well, because this game was a little bit different. This time I actually do have a suburb. Not 2 suburbs, but I have a suburb, and things are a lot different when you actually have a suburb to work with. Normally, with the way that maps are going to generate with Waterworld, if you get a suburb, the opponent most likely has one as well. just to make things at least somewhat fair, because the map does try to make things fair, believe it or not. So in this case, we both actually do have suburbs. You can see with score counting, they do in fact have a suburb of their own. So we're both fighting with 2 cities right now instead of normally how it'd be with just 1, and it's a lot different of a situation. Now I can get another ruin though and start to abuse my Aquarion powers. But the opponent is able to bring up their own scouts and do stuff. In this case, not quite too eventful. The opponent isn't able to do too much about the fair and balanced aquaculture. And then they just resign. And yeah, but in this case, like, they actually do have suburbs now. Like, if I wasn't playing Aquarion, maybe this would actually be reasonable. They've got high level suburbs at that. If we look at the fog with this one, I think this is like a lot more interesting of a map because we're both working on these 2 cities. There's even a land connection here. Now there's this extra village here, but like, I can imagine a map like this being a lot more interesting. Again, these are all ruins, not cities. Like, I guess this is a bit of a shorter video because I do actually have another game, but that game was another game where there were actually suburbs and it was an Aquarion mirror, and it was a super interesting game that I think deserves its own video. I think it can show how interesting Waterworld can be when you actually have village access, because I think it is a lot better with that. The opponent's like actually able to build something up. In this case, they don't really play it out. They could have had chances to be more aggressive and attack on this side. They just kind of didn't. They have hunting here, which hunting is it's a decision here, I guess. Anyway, though, that's not really too much the point. The point is, Waterworld should maybe generate suburbs, and I know sometimes MIDJI does listen to the community, and you know, not just Waterworld having suburbs. I remember the continents video that I made with Kiku. There were like no suburbs there, and that was kind of annoying. And Drylands doesn't have suburbs either. Neither does Pangea, and it can be really annoying. And I think like Waterworld's probably like the most extreme example of lack of suburbs kind of ruining things, which is partially why I'm showing this, and also because I have a soft spot for Waterworld. You guys know that. I don't know. Waterworld with suburbs, question mark? I think that would be super fun. Because it'd still be pretty barren, but you'd at least have something. A lot of that positional play and working with small advantages you would actually see more often in Waterworld, instead of like half of games, you just don't have anything. Anyway though, hope you guys enjoyed. Like and sub, and have a good one.